Trey Williams, a guy who had both shoulders that were out last year, only
Yep.
played 14 games as a true freshman. I mean, how have you seen him approach just having patience and perseverance to come back and play the way he has?
Trey?
Yeah, Trey.
Well, XT, first of all, I mean, he's an amazing story. I mean, he really is, and it's unbelievable the maturity that he has now from when I first met him, and the fact that he's here and just what he's been through, what he's overcome, where he is, just from a growth as a human being. I mean, I'm really proud of him, and then just his knowledge as a football player. I mean, he really was not a very knowledgeable player when he came here at all. He was just a good athlete that could run fast and was strong and looked the part. But he had so much to learn, and he's really he's just more of a complete player, and he's in the best shape of his life, mentally and physically. And I'm really, really proud of him. And it's fun to see him, overcome and be where he is right now. So, and then next, Trey, he's coming out of high school, and with the shoulder, and then just all the things that he's dealt with here. This is a really talented, high-level, explosive, defensive tackle. I mean, he's really, really going to be a good player. And you've seen flashes of him. And, he knows what he can do, but he's been limited, with injuries, with his knee, his shoulders. He's had a lot of things, but he's just kept the faith. He's just continues to have a smile on his face, and, he's stayed confident. And, I think our staff's done a great job of keeping him encouraged. And so, it's great, to see him out there. And it was fun to see him have a sack the other night. I think he had about 40 people there. So saw his mom before the game when I was getting on the bus at the hotel. It's good to see her, and so I'm proud of him, really happy for him, and it's all in front of him. I mean, it's still, he's just I guess technically a redshirt sophomore, so he's still got it all in front of him, and if he stays healthy, he will finish well here at Clemson for sure.
Is it a common thing for guys to come here without a great deal of aptitude for the game, though, generally, even though they may be highly regarded? You do a lot of teaching.
Oh, yeah.
Just debate,
Yeah.
just things you might expect them to already know.
Yeah, that's why I always say you never know. I mean, that's what I don't like about the recruiting process is you get all these kids labeled, and it creates, it's just not good. It's not good for their mental health, to be honest with you. Because they're kids, and although they may be physically ready, they're mentally a ways off. There's just a lot. There's a huge transition, and then you have some guys that physically are not ready, but mentally, man, they get it. Like, they get it, and they can just go play. And that's, you just never know that till you start coaching a kid. You just don't. And when you start projecting that, and then all of a sudden, this guy's not playing, and people get disappointed, and all this and that, but because he's supposed to just do all this stuff. And I always say, if freshmen are coming in and starting every year, well, what about all these guys you recruited? You must have missed on everybody, and you don't develop well, but you're always going to have a guy or two, but it's unique. That's what I was saying about Barrett Carter last year. I mean, Barrett, he's not the norm. Isaiah Simmons is a perfect example. He redshirted. He was nowhere near ready to play. I don't think he was very serious about it, and he was just kind of an athlete. Roamed around at middle third, and they'd throw him some jump balls, but he wasn't really serious about. And now all of a sudden you're playing nickel Sam in our defense, and Brent's in your grits because you lined up outside and you should be inside, and he don't understand why he should be inside. I mean, there's just a lot to it and how it all fits together. And it's the same thing on the offensive side. I mean, you got a lot, especially in the offensive line. You got guys. That's the hardest position. That's why it's amazing what Miller's doing. And the fact that he came in January, helped him. But you just don't see that. You see so many of these guys that and then some guys, again, mentally, they're pretty sharp, but physically, you just want to, kind of develop them a little bit. I'd put Cole Turner in that. Like, Cole Turner, he could play today. He could play today. Mentally, that kid. He is instinctive. He understands route running. He's got freaky ball skills. He is fast, but physically, we want to develop him a little bit if we can. So we've been trying to do it. So you have guys on all spectrums, but you just never know. You never know, and sometimes it takes guys a little bit of time. Vic Beasley, I mean, he was pretty good, right? And he was so far from playing for us as a freshman and a redshirt freshman, it ain't funny. He wasn't even close to playing for us. Then his redshirt sophomore year, we finally kind of got a little life out of him. Then his redshirt junior and senior year, he became a star. But it took a while. And then you get some guys that roll in here, and the day they get here, they just get it. It just clicks for them. You just never know till you coach them.
Speaking of Brent, have you talked to him this week? How's he handling things? It seems like people are really impatient down there and bothered by what's going on.
Listen, I mean, it just comes with it. It doesn't matter what you've done, right? I mean, it just comes with it. And but certainly have communicated with him. He'll be fine. Brent's this isn't his first rodeo. I know it's his first opportunity to be in the skillet, but he'll be all right. He'll get it right. He knows what he's got to do. He hasn't forgot how to coach or any of those things, and just a little tough stretch they're in right now.
Wes told us yesterday he's learning how to be more demanding of his players. Can you give us your window into his growth, into the parts of the job that were new, like the leadership, the presence that
Yeah.
figurehead kind of?
Yeah, and those are things that, he and I have talked about along the way. I mean, he's, it's just, again, it comes with anything, when you're going through, and now all of a sudden you're leading the group, you've got staff, all these things, and he's such a good dude. I mean, he's just a great guy, and there's nobody that doesn't like Wes. I don't know, nobody. Everybody likes Wes, and but now all of a sudden, there's times where, they may not like you as much. It just comes with it. Leadership is hard. It's hard, and I think he's really grown into that as far as really knowing when he needs to, challenge and when he doesn't. But he's just going to keep getting better and better. But he's done a great job. He really has. Proud of him.
That was something you were talking about over the summer. Like, you were reminiscing about being the dean of ACC football coaches. How have you seen? It's like they used to joke about how Bobby Bowden was a CEO down there at Florida State. You have to be CEO now. The staff explosion since you began being a coach is incredible. Do you like being that manager? Would you like that more focus on, the on-field football things? How do you handle the changing scope of what you have to do?
I don't really do anything different than I think you have to be both. I think you have to do both. I think that, and I'm an offensive guy, and I think every head coach is something. They're an expert at something, and you're always going to, gravitate to that and recruit to your strengths and your weaknesses, if you will. You got to surround yourself with the right people. You got to manage people. You got discipline. You got a lot of decisions every single day. I love the aspect of being the head coach and planning and organizing and managing the team. And I really don't manage the team any different than I ran my position group. I think it's the same. I just have a bigger position group, if you will. And I think it's important that they see you as the head coach as well. I think that's important, and I think sometimes people miss that because they just spend all their time on one side of the ball. And I think that creates a disconnect. And I've tried to always guard against that. Everybody knows that I'm my background, but I try to balance that as much as I can. And Coach Stallings taught me that. He was a defensive guy, but he knew what was going on. And I think you have to be very engaged as to what's going on. You know, as the old saying, you don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect. You know, that's kind of how I live by. And, you know, but you have to be engaged. You got to be engaged with your players. You got to be engaged with your staff. And then you have to be involved in the football aspect of it. I mean, I don't think you can ever get away from that. I mean, that's what you love. I just met for an hour. You know, that's one of the things every Tuesday morning I meet for an hour with, you know, about 30, 40 minutes with the defense and an hour with the offense. And, you know, it's one of my favorite days of the week as far as, you know, some of the key pieces of what we're trying to do game plan wise on both sides of the ball. And so I'm very engaged in all aspects. I don't think, but yeah, you got to be a CEO. I mean, you can't, I mean, you got to, there's a lot of decisions, there's a lot of things going on at a high level, but you also got to have good people. Now, I'm very fortunate. You know, I got Woody. You know, Woody is I mean, he and I have been together for 30 years, 32 years we've been together. And, you know, he knows me like a book. And, you know, so, you know, I can't go and sit in every, you know, leadership meeting, you know, that they want to have, but Woody can go and be there for certain things and make sure that we have a voice and make sure that we're in tune to things, you know, as far as this time of year. And so I've just got great people, but, you know, you have to do both. I don't think you can be, I mean, just my personal, I know I wouldn't be successful just being this or just being that. I think you have to be both, and you can do both. You just got to know how to be balanced. You got to be organized. You got to be efficient. You got to have a plan. You know, I mean, we do a 13-month calendar and we just execute the day. You know, so we're not trying to figure it out.
Well, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I think he recently said he prepares like a pro. I think his dad will literally watch his practice reps and give him feedback on what he did at practice. I mean, how much do you think having that resource and his dad has kind of led to that preparation?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can even question that. I mean, you know, as his dad, and you're, you know, it'd be like, I mean, be like your dad being, I don't know, the best actor in Hollywood or so, and a movie star, and you know, you're wanting to get into that business, you know, and your dad's Robert De Niro or whoever, Lonesome Dove, and you know, and Duvall, and you know, you want to, okay, Dad, you know, I want to learn how to do this. He's probably going to have pretty good, you know, advice. Now, obviously, you got to have the talent and the skill set, but that's certainly the case here. And his brother's the same. I mean, he's just linebackers, man. So, I mean, his father's one of the best to ever do it, right? I mean, great player for a long time in the pros. So you don't play that long in the pros if you don't have great knowledge, you know, great understanding of the nuances of the game, you know, hands, feet, eyes, offense, you know, you name it. And so there's no doubt that he's taught that to his son. As his son's like, hey, I want to play football. I want to do that. And, you know, to have a guy like that to teach you, I mean, there's no question he's way ahead, you know, because of I mean, certainly he's talented enough, but just also that has been a blessing for him. And I'm sure he would tell you that. And you saw that immediately when he got here. This wasn't a guy that you were starting with a blank canvas. I mean, this is a guy that, you know, we just need to kind of frame it up really good, you know. I mean, hang it on the wall. I mean, he's really, really good. And just truly has, you know, everything that you'd want in the play, but his instincts for the game, his understanding of the game, and then the fact that, you know, he comes here and gets coached every day, but I'm sure his dad also he's got eyes too, right? And he watches him and can help him as well. I think that's a blessing for Jeremiah.
Any questions for Coach from Zoom?
Dabo, this is Matt. Do you have an update on Malcolm or RJ?
Yeah, they're back. Malcolm was back last week. I know he didn't get in there, but he was ready if needed. And we expect RJ to be back.
And you mentioned earlier that this team's game planning for you year round and how difficult that's made it. I was just wondering if you had any examples of this year, maybe where there's been something that you weren't expecting or something thrown at you that you could tell that kind of someone had been working on for a while trying to get ready for.
Well, I mean, no specific example, but there's always things, every week, regardless of, even at this point, there'll be things in the Florida State game that, they haven't shown on tape yet. That's just kind of always the case week to week. Same with us. You make the adjustments and you keep moving. But I just was making the point that we were talking about rivalries, and I was just making the point that I think our mindset is everybody wants to beat us. That's we know that there's a target on our back at Clemson, and we're that game that you're going to get everybody's best. You're not going to get anybody's C game. It's just not going to happen, and you have to understand that. If you come to Clemson, you got to understand that you're not going to. Nobody's going to sleepwalk against you. It doesn't matter who you play, from Furman to whoever. You are going to get everybody's absolute best effort on that given day, and you got to be built and ready for that.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Coach.
That it? Okay, appreciate it.
Will Putnam will be first up for us at